How do? So here we are on night 2 of my week at the movies, my fall break. Um, and if anyone was watching kind of a little live thing I did on Facebook before the film, you know that I just got out of Queen of Katwe, the latest Disney sports uplifting kind of fare. Other people did eventually come in. Like, they came in right as I was clicking off the live thing. So we had, it wasn't just me in the audience again, which I always hate when it's just me alone in the audience. This one, I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing to say coming out of a film. I don't know. It was long. Either I don't know if it's actually any longer than any other movie I've seen recently, or if it just felt longer, because it definitely dragged. It definitely felt like, more than dragged, it felt like it was running in place for a long time. It felt like it was on a Mobius strip. You know, like nothing. You know, you did, like, kind of like if you're ever watching the old Flintstones cartoons, and they're just walking in the same backgrounds or going around and around and around. Let me see if I can adjust this a little bit. I'm coming up on the stop sign. Whoa, look at that. A big hand I got there. Anyway, sorry. Anyway, you ever watch those old Flintstones cartoons where, you know, Fred and Barney are walking and they just keep walking past the same background over and over and over and over again? It's kind of what this film felt a little bit like. It just felt like it was jogging in place for a long time and not really making any forward progress. So if you haven't seen the trailers, which, you know, if you haven't, then you're luckier than I am. Every now and then you run into a movie that every film you go to has a trailer for this movie in it. I remember back when I was a kid, the Timothy Dalton Bond film License to Kill. Every movie I went to, no matter what it was, had a trailer for that movie in it. And this movie is the same. Every movie I've gone to for the past, like, 2 months has had a trailer for this film. So I kind of wanted to see it to see if it was, you know, like the trailer or not. Or one thing you can say about Disney is they know when a formula works. You know, they know any of their film series that are successful have a formula and they stick to it. The Marvel films have a formula. Their regular animated princess fare has a formula. Or even films like Frozen that supposedly are so revolutionary because they break the formula, they still follow the frickin' formula. You know? And they have these movies. They're true life sports inspirational story films that have their formula. And they stick to it because they know it works. So if you haven't seen the trailer, this is a movie about a young African girl from, like, the slums of Uganda, called Katwe. Well, that's not what the girl's name is. Where she lives is Katwe, part of Uganda. As far as I'm aware, I'm not an expert on American Joe. I'm laughing because the word is what right out of my head. I'm going to sound like an idiot. Geography is what I was going to say, and I know that ain't right anyway. So anyway, geography, that's the word I'm looking for. Dumbass. I'm a teacher. Anyway, who, you know, starts taking up chess, and turns out she's part prodigy and part just studying. You know, it's one of the things that worked about the movie is she wasn't just like this natural born chess genius. It showed her working at it and kind of how, like, she'd play a game, get beat, and go back and retrace her steps to kind of see how she lost the game, or rather how the other person won. So it showed that she was part prodigy. She had a knack for it, but it showed that she worked hard at it. You know, it wasn't just one of these people who just did it. And basically how it takes her, you know, all the way up and away. And I sound really non-committal talking about this film, and I think that is because it just, I don't know, it just didn't, I don't know, there was nothing really spectacular about it. I think, again, let's try to start with the good. The acting in this one is pretty top-notch. Again, I think all the actors do a very good job, especially considering that a lot of the actors are young. I don't know if any of them have ever done anything before, and they're pretty natural. The writing isn't too bad. I was a little worried going into it that it was going to be a movie made up mostly of trailer cliche lines, because the trailer just has a lot of them. In chess, the little piece can become the big piece. Sometimes the place you are comfortable is not the place you belong. Little tidbits like that they love for trailers and catchphrases. But the movie and the actors do a good job of not falling into that too much. God, I wish there was more to say about it. I'm racking my brain, and I'm just not coming up with anything. I just don't feel like there's much there, and I hate to say that because it's obviously the story of a person's life. And they did a really cool thing at the end credits I really liked, is they had the actor who was playing the person there, and then the real person came out and stood with them, and they hugged and or did a neat little handshake or something like that. But the film really doesn't stick with you. There's nothing really in there that I'm going, oh wow, even to its favor, it does not have kind of the same cliches as a lot of these uplifting sports films have. There's no evil team or she encounters some spoiled rich kids, but they're pretty nondescript, and they all just kind of, she beats them and they go away and you never see them again. So there's none of that. Her coach isn't an alcoholic, which is always nice. You see these movies and it's always, I remember about a year ago I went and did a double feature of Race and Eddie the Eagle, and both of them had both of them based on true stories, both of them having alcoholic coaches, so it's you're waiting for it. I guess one of the cooler things I can say about this film, one of the things I did like about it, is, again, Disney is a master of its genres. It knows what works in its films. And this is the first one of these true life inspirational sports films that I can think of. If there's a different one, please let me know. That takes place outside of the U.S. This film takes place almost entirely in Africa, except for a little time when she goes to Russia for a tournament. But it's all their film from their point of view. You don't have any, Americans coming in and, going, well, we'll teach you how to play chess, little lady. None of that. So culturally, visually, everything was all from that African point of view. And I thought that was really neat and really, really cool. Because, again, you see enough of these sports films, you're raised on them like I was, and like a lot of people my age are. And, they're all pretty samey. They're all from the American point of view, and all that good stuff. So things like, I don't mean to be cool, but, things like these really cool, dances they would do when they'd win, or they had this thing that I found myself doing, along with the movie, is this, they had one of the characters, her brother and one of the other little kids that she learned to play chess with, when they win, they would do this, this kind of snap, this whip snap thing, and it was something that you could tell was in their culture. It was, something they grew up doing. And you find that as you're watching it, you're like, yeah, you start doing it, So it's neat to kind of see this, again, this formula, this genre that works for Disney, taken from another point of view, taken from another culture's point of view. But aside from that, I can't really think of anything really unique about this film that really kind of stands out. Which is weird because when you think about it, it's made up of all unique pieces, for lack of better terminology, no pun intended. It's about a girl, first of all, which is not things you don't see that a lot in sports movies. It's about an African girl, which again, not something you see a lot. It's about a game. I shouldn't really. I don't know if it's really a sport, but it's definitely an athletic competition. The people who play it are obviously on a really high level. That you don't see a lot. Not one that deals with physical prowess, but one that deals with brains. So it has all these unique pieces, but when you put them all together, it just kind of comes out as there's nothing bad in it except it's god-awful pacing. The pacing is terrible, which again is something that at first I'm thinking this is great, because when the film opens, it says 2011, which is weird that 2011 is now far enough away we can do bio-pictures about it. Anyway, and then we flash back to like 2007, I think, and you see that this young lady, again, she wasn't just all of a sudden a genius. She worked on it for years, and it shows kind of the progression of her life throughout years. So that's cool. But man, oh man, I don't know what it could have done, but man, some of the pacing of this, like I say, it felt really long. And when it ended, it didn't feel like it ended with any kind of big "we are the champions" moment. It was a fairly small, quiet moment, which I guess it makes sense for the film's point of view, since they were trying to keep the focus on her and her family, and not necessarily on the big Mighty Ducks kind of, the big game kind of thing. So I guess that smaller, intimate point of view and all that works for it, I guess. But for me, I don't know. I felt there were certain moments where I felt up and was like interested, and then other moments I'm just like, okay, wake me when something of relevance happens. I feel terrible saying that, because again, this is a movie that you really feel like its heart's in the right place. They're trying to really tell this young lady's story and be honest to it and be fair to it and give you that uplifting, moments. I just think it loses a lot in its pacing, and it's rather dull. It is. I'm sorry, it's rather dull. So do I recommend this one? Kind of, sort of. There's nothing bad in it. There's no terrible performances. The writing is surprisingly uncliche. So it's got a lot going for it. But I don't know. I really did not get a big kick out of it. I didn't leave going, oh wow, hooray, win one for our side, kind of thing you want to get when you see one of these, inspirational sports films. So, I think if you have kids, it might be a good film for them, especially, I don't know how to phrase this. Especially if you have, this is a great role model for minorities. I think it shows it from a different point of view than kind of the standard white American point of view, which is good. I think we need a little bit more of that. But I think if you end up skipping this film, I don't think you're going to be any poorer for it. I mean, it really doesn't, it's another inspirational sports film that just kind of checks the boxes, does some things in a little bit different way and a little bit out of order, but nothing really to write home about, which is why this review, ironically, is a lot shorter than a lot of the other ones I've done lately. So, Queen of Katwe, not a bad film, but, nothing really spectacular, so I don't quite know what else to say about it. I'm a little disappointed. But, they can't all be winners, all right? So, but just like the character, at least it was a film that tried. It went for it and, tried to do something. I don't think it stuck the landing, but give it credit for going out there with its heart on its sleeve and, trying to present you a new story from a new point of view. So, yay you. All right, well, that's all for this one. Again, I really don't have much more else to say about it. So check it out if you want, but, don't break your neck. So we'll see what looks good or passable or sucky enough to warrant one of these tomorrow. And until then, drive safe, and I'll see you at the movies.